You reach for the small, clear grinder sitting beside your stove. It is a mundane movement, one born of muscle memory and the simple desire for a little more heat in your soup. You twist the cap. The sound is a sharp, rhythmic crunch, bone-dry seeds surrendering to steel teeth. A fine, dark dust drifts onto your plate, releasing a scent that is at once sharp, woody, and ancient. You think nothing of it. To you, this is a tableside utility, as common as salt, as cheap as the air you breathe. And but look closer at that dark grain resting on your fingertip. If you had held this same grain in your hand 500 years ago, you would be clutching a pebble of pure gold. You would be holding the catalyst for the age of discovery, the secret fuel of the Renaissance, and the silent reason why the maps of your world look the way they do. Close your eyes. Let the kitchen walls dissolve. The scent of the modern world fades, replaced by the salt spray of the Indian Ocean and the heavy, humid heat of a jungle that has never known a winter. You're standing in the year 40 CE on the edge of the Malabar coast. The air here is a thick green curtain. To your left, the Western Ghats rise like sleeping giants, draped in emerald velvet. To your right, the sea churns with the coming of the monsoon. You watch as a climber moves through the shadows of the forest. He scales a rough-barked tree, reaching for a creeping vine that clings to the trunk like a lover. He pulls down a cluster of small green berries. They look like emerald beads, hard and unyielding. He lays them out on a woven mat under a sun so fierce it feels like a physical weight on your shoulders. You watch the transformation. In the heat, the berries begin to ferment, their skins wrinkling, their colour deepening from vibrant green to a bruised purple, and finally to a charcoal black. They are no longer fruit. They are Piper nigrum, black gold. To you, this is a harvest. To the Roman Empire, thousands of miles to the west, this is an obsession. You see the Roman grain ships, massive and wallowing, anchored in the harbour of Muziris. They have braved the Hippolytus, the legendary trade winds, crossing the open ocean in a feat of maritime bravery that defies reason. They have come not for silk, not for gold, but for the heat you now hold in your hand. In Rome, you sit at a banquet where the air is thick with the smell of roasting peacock and heavy wines. You watch a senator's hand tremble as he sprinkles a generous dusting of pepper over his meat. It is a display of obscene wealth. He is eating the equivalent of a soldier's monthly wages in a single sitting. When Alaric the Goth finally screams at the gates of Rome in 408 CE, he does not demand only the city's gold. He demands 3,000 pounds of black pepper. Even as an empire falls, the hunger for the heat remains. The centuries turn like the pages of a dusty ledger. You find yourself in the Middle Ages standing on the marble quays of Venice. The city is a shimmering mirage of gold and limestone rising out of the lagoon. You see the galleys of the Venetian Republic returning from the Levant. They are low in the water, heavy with the weight of the East. Because the Silk Road is a gauntlet of 1,000 deaths, taxed by the Persians, guarded by the mountains, and finally funneled through the Ottoman Empire, the price of pepper has become astronomical. You walk through the Rialto market. The air is cool, smelling of damp stone and expensive incense. You see a merchant weighing a small pouch of peppercorns against silver coins on a delicate scale. He closes the shutters. He works in the dark. A single fallen grain is a tragedy. In this era, pepper is more than a spice. It is a specie, the root of the word species, and the origin of hard currency. It pays rents, it provides dowries, and it bribes judges. But the monopoly is a cage. And you're about to see the cage break. Shift your gaze to the Atlantic. It is 1497. You're standing on the deck of a Portuguese caravel, the São Gabriel. The wood beneath your feet groans as it climbs the massive grey-green swells of the Southern Ocean. The air is no longer sweet. It smells of rotting timber, scurvy and desperation. You look at Vasco da Gama. His eyes are fixed on a horizon that no European has ever crossed. He is not searching for a new world, and he is searching for you, or rather the source of the black grain. He sails around the Cape of Good Hope, enduring months of silence and salt, driven by a singular, frantic greed. When he finally reaches Calicut, he is asked what he seeks. His answer is a blade held to the throat of history. Christians and spices. Suddenly the world is on fire. You witness the birth of the first global corporations. You are in the boardroom of the Verenigde Oostindische Compagnie, the Dutch East India Company. You see men in stiff linen collars signing papers that grant them the power to wage war, to execute, and to colonize. The calm, watercolor beauty of the Malabar coast is shattered. You see the white sails of the VOC warships appearing like ghosts on the horizon. They do not come to trade. They come to dominate. You watch as fortresses of cold stone are built over the tropical soil. You see the blood of local farmers staining the very earth where the vines grow. The Dutch want a monopoly, and they will burn every competing tree and slaughter every competing merchant to get it. For 200 years, the spice trade is a theatre of cruelty. You see the English, the French, and the Portuguese clashing in the Indian Ocean, their cannons thundering, their hulls splintering, all for the right to control the flow of a berry that makes food taste slightly more interesting. The map of the world is being redrawn by the scent of pepper. New ports are founded, new trade routes are carved into the skin of the earth. The wealth of the East is drained into the palaces of Europe, funding the art of the Baroque and the science of the Enlightenment. The modern world is being built on a foundation of black dust. The chaos fades, the smoke of the cannons clears, you are back in your kitchen, the silence is profound. The spice that once commanded the movements of fleets and the fates of kings now sits in a plastic bottle from a supermarket. It is so cheap that we don't even count its cost. We have conquered the distance, we have tamed the monsoon, we have industrialized the ancient vine. But as you look at that black dust on your plate, consider the irony of human nature. We are a species that spent 3,000 years killing each other for a flavour. We sent men to die in the middle of uncharted oceans. Not for land, not for liberty, but for a sensation on the tongue. We built the global economy not on the pursuit of necessity, but on the pursuit of the exquisite. You take a bite of your food, the heat blooms, a slow, creeping warmth that prickles the back of your throat. It is the same heat that Nero felt, the same heat that Gama chased across the world. The spice hasn't changed. Only we have. We have turned a legendary treasure into a mundane habit, forgetting that every time we reach for the grinder, we're participating in the end of an epic. You set the grinder down, the meal is finished, but the taste lingers, a dark, pungent ghost of a world that was once willing to burn itself to the ground for a single gram of pepper. Would you like me to trace the bloody aromatic history of the fragrant wood, cinnamon, and the secret island that men died to keep hidden?